new to.
All right. What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the FF Faceoff. This is a fantasy football podcast where we also dig knee deep into all the NFL free agency news, which we will discuss today. What's going on, our reactions, what it all means. Things have kind of died down in the last few days, but we did get some news today. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, feel free to like and subscribe here on the YouTube and also fffaceoff.com for all of your fantasy football, NFL sports betting needs. A lot of NFL draft content on there from Zach Petra, who does it better than most. So check it out today, fffaceoff.com. My name is Michael Hoff. You can follow me on X at the FF Realist. My partner in crime, celebrating some additions to the running back room in Dallas. Maybe Micah Parsons' contract on the way. He needs to keep his mouth shut, though, but not him, Micah. Anthony's good. He's the ever handsome, the ever wonderful, the ever charming Anthony Servino. Anthony, sweetheart, how's about you?
I'm doing great, but we have breaking news, Mike. We were just talking about him off air. Cooper Kupp has officially signed with the Seattle Seahawks.
All right. There you go.
That is per ESPN's Adam Schefter. So, like, literally, as you were introducing me, I saw it come up through my phone. It is now official. Cooper Kupp is a Seahawk.
So 49er defenses cannot escape Cooper Kupp. He stays in the NFC West. Well, you know, I'll say this. We went from not from what are they doing? We understand them letting go of Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf was on the way out. He was involved in trade rumors anyway last year. So it's not that we said, what the hell are they doing? It was more just, let's see what they do. Jackson Smith and Jigba. And now Cooper Kupp is there with old Sam Darnold. So, Anthony, how do you view this? Let's go with this. How do you view this from, let's start with a Cooper Kupp thought, and then roll it into Sam Darnold and what you think there? I mean, obviously there's enough vacated targets that Jackson Smith and Jigba is not going to get hurt by Cooper Kupp being there. That's obvious.
Yeah, so starting with Cooper Kupp, I said on a show with you last week. I kind of think he's washed.
Yes, remember that.
But is it because I'm looking at his seasons where he's finishing as a wide receiver one and he has not come close to that? Yes, it's injury. Yes, it's age. But, you know, it's also that Cooper Kupp magic with Stafford and McVay. He wasn't that same guy with Jared Goff, and we're seeing Jared Goff in Detroit put up some really good numbers and supporting top-flight wide receivers. So maybe this is the real Cooper Kupp. Maybe he isn't that, almost 2,000-yard receiver from 2021 with 16 touchdowns. Maybe he's just a lot closer to what we've seen in some of these other seasons, 800 yards, 900 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
I don't know if you saw the post from Warren Sharp. If you guys are on X, I mean, Warren, I've written for him before. He's an incredible guy, but he's also very good in terms of NFL numbers and stats and everything else. I don't know if you saw this, Anthony, but he said Cooper Kupp's rank and ability to get open.
I saw that.
You did see that. So for the audience, 2021, he was 15 out of 160. 2022, 71 out of 150. 2023, 102 out of 153. And last year, 141 out of 159. That's not to say he can't come in and help the Seahawks, but that does kind of go to your point, Anthony. As much as I don't think he's washed, it does bleed into that whole point. So what do you think about this for Sam Darnold?
I think it helps Sam Darnold. And we were talking about this off air. They do need another wide receiver. And no, you're not getting that Cooper Kupp, but you're getting a version of Cooper Kupp where you have JSN. He's going to be the clear alpha. They cleared out Lockett and Metcalf. So Kupp's going to see targets. He's not going to see that volume he saw in the McVay offense with the Rams. That's just not the type of offense they're going to run here. I think Seattle They want to run the football and play defense under the head coach McDonald's. I think they want to treat Sam Darnold more so as a game manager and not let it loose like we saw in Minnesota. And quite frankly, they don't have the weapons or the personnel, and I don't exactly trust the play calling like I do with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. So I'm not. I think there's a really good chance Sam Darnold does not crack my top 20 quarterbacks, but I do think he will be in the right matchup as streamer.
And there was a lot that was said, by the way, that the Seattle head coach wasn't happy with how much they passed the ball, wanted to run the ball more. So that also hurts Cooper Kupp potential targets. I mean, DK did have 108 last year. Tyler Lockett did have 74. So they could still dip in between as far as their pass run ratio. And Cooper Kupp could still see a good amount of targets. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba had 137 last year. How high do we think that's going to go with Cooper Kupp there and with them running the ball more potentially? I mean, I don't think it's going to get much higher. So Cooper Kupp could still be good. He's still valuable for fans.
But where are we drafting him? Because that's going to be the issue here with Cooper Kupp. If he's going anywhere close to the 5th round, I'm not willing to do that. If I can get Cooper Kupp in the 8th, 9th round, then I'm willing to have that conversation. Because it's not only the potential, is he washed, the age, it's the injuries, it's the potential of a run-heavy offense. There's a lot of red flags here to where like that, Cooper Kupp any higher than the 8th round. I can't pull that trigger.
All right. I might go a little higher than that, but not much. Not much. I'd like to see how some of this shakes out, which we'll get into all year long. We are a year-long fantasy football podcast, so we'll be covering it all the whole way. We'll follow his ADP as we go. I'd probably go a little bit higher than that, but I can't judge it too much for saying that. The last thing I'll say here is maybe perhaps if they're running the ball more, and if he's not getting as many targets as he would have gotten with the Rams as you're suggesting, maybe that helps Cooper Kupp stay healthy longer, potentially. It's just a thought.
But doesn't that also balance out with, hey, he's going to be healthy, but they're going to be throwing less, and there's going to be less targets anyway.
Right? No,
and then we're going to be depending on efficiency. And you talked about Warren Sharp. Well, the inability to get open. Well, he was 57th amongst qualifying wide receivers on Player Profiler in terms of target separation. 30th in yards per route run, 81st in yards per target, 92nd in yards per reception, 33rd in yards per team pass attempt. It's it's just not there for Cooper Kupp.
Hey, by the way, I'm saying I'm not saying that less opportunity to get hurt means all of a sudden he's going to be better than what you're saying he's going to be. I'm just simply saying that is, if you're in the camp of you want something positive to say about Cooper Kupp, you could say that, And again, he could have a freak injury. Whatever.
And there is also after I let the Devontae Adams signing sink in, and you realize, well, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, it's not like they got significantly younger at receiver. It's not they're paying him a significant less amount of money.
No.
So why are you moving off of Cooper Kupp? If he knows your system and he's a good blocker,
there's a reason. The numbers we just read off.
Right.
He was another one. I mentioned DK Metcalf being involved in trade discussions to the trade deadline. Cooper Kupp's name was mentioned too, more than once. Yeah. So maybe it was just time to move on. We saw it with Debo and the Niners, just time to move on. Maybe the same thing with Cooper Kupp, but we'll see where it goes. But Anthony, I did tell you off air that this would happen. And clear as day, it happened because this is what he does with his life. We got ATL here in the chat. He wants to troll me, so we will engage. It is 49 related. It is relevant, so we'll just do it. He says, any concern with the 49ers' lack of urgency signing Purdy long-term and then with them signing Kyle Boy Toy Mac Jones? Okay. So, very good. So he's gonna giggle and then he's gonna text me. Oh, did you see what I wrote? Like, yes, I read it on air, idiot. So yeah, I saw it. No, they're gonna sign Brock Purdy. They're gonna play hardball with Brock Purdy. They're going to try and not get us hosed as much as they possibly can without having the debacle of what they did last year with Brandon Ayuk. But they will ultimately get Brock Purdy signed. They're going to spend more than they want. He's probably going to be in the neighborhood of $50 million. I'm not telling you he's worth $50 million. I'm telling you, if you look at quarterbacks that are making $50 million, it's just the way the market goes. You have to remember that when we talk about quarterbacks. Quarterbacks get paid based on how good they are, but also based on where the market is. So Brock Purdy's probably going to get $50 million a year. It's probably going to happen. Niners are going to do their best to limit the damage as much as they can. That's why this will take that long. They will sign him. Mac Jones is there because, yes, Anthony, I'll let you take the reins on that, but I'll just say Shanahan likes to bring in quarterbacks that he trusts or that he thinks he could trust. He liked Sam Darnold. He brought him in. Didn't mean Sam Darnold was all of a sudden going to be the starter. It meant he liked him, brought him in. Sam Darnold goes on. He's done great things since then. This is another brick in the wall of Shanahan bringing in a guy that he likes, and he's not making a ton of money. And ATL, the reason why he's not making a lot of money is because he's not the greatest quarterback in the world. Not because the 49ers have no money. The York family is worth $4.5 billion. ATL Mikey is of the mindset that they can't keep the lights on at Levi Stadium anymore. I will just say, if Brock Purdy goes down at all like he did last year, as a 49er fan, and even for fantasy, I'm interested to see what Mac Jones can do in a Kyle Shanahan offense. But Anthony, I will. But no, there is no panic. Brock Purdy's going to be signed. ATL, you're probably the only person legitimately panicking. You and Grant Cohen, who's a 49er hater who talks about the Niners. But anyway, Anthony, Mac Jones, though, I wanted to give that floor to you because you've been touting this for years. So go ahead.
Yeah. So number one, I'll never not believe when the 49ers, because remember, there was all the media pressure when the 49ers traded up to go take Trey Lance. I'll always believe Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones on that pick. And who was the Peters, the guy who was with Washington now, the general manager,
Adam
or not
Peters.
GM. What was he?
With Washington, he's like the president of football
Right,
operations.
but what was he at the time with the 49ers?
He was more of a back end kind of assistant GM, sort of scouting.
And you think that was, maybe he was pushing for Trey Lance and they ultimately go for Trey Lance. But I always believe Mac Jones should have been with the 49ers. I think that's who Kyle Shanahan wanted. And we saw them try to trade for Mac Jones when he was
the moment I thought
New England.
You can continue your thought. I'm sorry, but that's the moment where I said to myself, Adam Peters must have been the guy in the room that wanted Trey Lance. But
so anyway, Mac Jones in San Francisco now does not impact Brock Purdy, right? I like to make jokes, but in all reality, Brock Purdy's going to get paid. I don't think he deserves 60, but I think that 50 range is right where he's going to go, like Hoff said. But is Mac Jones going to serve as potential like an insurance policy? Because what if Brock Purdy goes down? And again, I'm not trying to be a hater here, and it's going to sound like I'm hating. We're finally going to see Brock Purdy. It's almost like they took a lot of reinforcements away. The defense, they're kind of rebuilding it. Is it going to be as opportunistic, and are they going to be turning the ball over at a high rate and giving Brock Purdy more opportunities to score the football? There is no more Deebo Samuel. CMC is getting older. Trent Williams is getting old. So there's a lot of things to where, okay, Brock Purdy, now there's, your 19 million all-pro surrounding you. Now you look like a human football team. What did Micah Parsons say on his podcast or on Twitter? This is the world when you don't have a quarterback on a rookie deal anymore.
Yeah, Micah Parsons does not talk so much, but we can talk about it.
But he's not wrong. So in case Brock Purdy comes down to earth, I think Kyle Shanahan wants to have that insurance policy that he could potentially groom.
Or I'll even say this: the whole thing in the NFC Championship game with the Eagles, I was like completely unforeseen. But he does tend to get little dings here and there. Nothing too significant, but he missed, I think, 2 games last year. He gets a little, dinged up here and there. And I would be more confident, and I know everybody loved Josh Jacobs, and they were all crying when he didn't start the first game Purdy missed. But if you tell me Purdy misses a week and Mac Jones is starting, okay, I still think we got a shot. if our defense isn't as miserable as they were last year, if they're more towards the end of Robert Saleh's end and more healthy, then yeah, okay, then I'll roll with that. We can do that. So,
I just think
yeah.
the 49ers are trying to go over a little bit of a youth movement, right?
Mhm.
The state of the NFC West. Like, if there's a year, like, I think maybe they're looking at the Rams. All right, well, Les Snead might be going all in like he did the year they won the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Seattle's looks like they're going through a rebuild, brought on Sam Darnold. The Cardinals and Kyler are the Cardinals and Kyler. Maybe San Francisco's looking, hey, we're going to still be competitive, but if there's ever a year to rebuild, it's now, because in 2026, who knows the shape of Matthew Stafford? Who
Right.
knows what the Rams are going to look like? And the rest of the division, oh, you got Kyler and Sam Darnold and potentially a Matthew Stafford retirement with no heir apparent. So if there's a time to blow up this roster and get younger, it's now.
Yeah.
I believe that.
And I'll mention a couple things about the Niners, and then we'll move on because this isn't a Niners podcast, even though I shouldn't complain because I have time to talk about the Niners here. I will just say Joe Carlton here did say Mac Jones is there to learn how to be an NFL quarterback. And yeah, maybe he saw what Sam Darnold did. Heck, the guy went, and again, this isn't to say Kyle Shanahan made Sam Darnold good. Getting away from New York was good for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Going to play with Kevin O'Connell was good, but I'm sure there was some benefit taken away from him being in San Francisco for a year as
In
backup.
that QB room, just like being in a McVay QB room.
Right, exactly. So yes, he's there, and hopefully that'll help. Pete said, "Oh, dude, pick Huff. That we have a dynasty draft. We'll update you guys on that." Pete, I'll tell you this.
3 days.
Yeah, Pete, I'll tell you this, Pete. A, I'm podcasting right now, and B, when you decide to use a set of headphones, I will be more quick to make my picks. With that being said, yeah, listen, there's a guy I watch or listen to, David Lombardi, 49ers. He writes for them quite a bit. And you mentioned the Rams. He's following
to Steve Lombardi.
I don't think so. But
you know
he
who that
said
is? That's the Brooklyn Brawler.
Yes, I understand. It's very good.
And
very
one
good.
of the Doinks.
So, okay. So he thinks so, which I believe too. And you referenced it. He's following the Rams mold. After the Rams won the Super Bowl, they tried to go for it again. They missed the playoffs. All of a sudden, they started to retool. They had a mass exodus of players, shed a bunch of numbers. All of a sudden, last 2 years, they make the playoffs. That's what the Niners are doing on the fly. So, yes, I get it. It looks very dramatic compared to what we've seen from 49ers off seasons, but they're not getting rid of the top guys on their team. They're not. Christian McCaffrey will be there. He doesn't have many years left. Trent Williams will be there. He doesn't have any years left. Fred Warner will be there. He's got years left. George Kittle looks like he's still good to go. Brock Purdy's going to get signed. So they're going to roll with this. Kyle Juszczyk was going to be gone anyway. That hurts. He would have been gone last season if he didn't take a pay cut last year. Because he's absurdly paid for a fullback. Paid handsomely by the Niners. So that writing was on the wall. And now they're going to go look with tight end blocking schemes to do what Kyle Juszczyk used to do. Not going to work as well, but they're going to do it. So just calm down. It's not going to be that crazy. Pete, I don't know if Pete's drunk over there. Keeps telling me to pick and this and that. Anyway, all right. So there you go. So that's our Niner conversation. I'll just say the more and more I look into the NFL draft, I think they're going D tackle in the first round. But we'll leave it at that. I think that's enough Niner talk. Anthony, if I talk any more Niners, you might start to break out into hives. I think but you did. I think what helped you was we talked Mac Jones in there.
Yeah, no, I love Mac Jones.
That's what helped you. So, all right. So let's get into the other news here, and then I will make my pick because Pete can't contain himself. But let's get into what was the biggest news of the day. And Anthony, I'll let you obviously take this one. About an hour and a half ago, it was reported that the Bengals are making significant progress on a deal for not just Jamar Chase, but also T. Higgins. It should be noted that they both have the same agent, so that must make it easy in terms of phone calls back and forth. But Anthony, what do you take away from all this? You can lump it up into everything as I get ready to make a pick before Pete gets really upset.
I think this is great news for the Bengals and Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is flexing his muscles. And I talk about this all the time. Carson Palmer threatening to retire, get me out of here. Maybe Joe Burrow behind the scenes went to Cincinnati brass and the Brown family. Like, listen, you got to keep these guys around me. Since that Super Bowl run, you decimated our defense. And now it's all on me. And all of a sudden, Jamar needs a contract. T. Higgins is a free agent. You're going to, they brought back Gesicki. They're keeping this offense together. And this offense is going to have to stay together because the defense is certainly a work in progress. Hendrickson's probably gone. They're going to trade him because you can't afford to pay Burrow, these receivers, Gesicki, and also pay Trey Hendrickson in this current edge rusher market. So I think this is Joe Burrow's flexing his muscles, and I think you should keep the band together. If Cincinnati's ever going to win a Super Bowl, it's going to be with this current crew of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow. And you even have Chase Brown, who's a really good running back. So I think this is something that Cincinnati has to do to keep their quarterback happy long term.
But all right, and I get that you want to keep the quarterback happy, but what are you doing on like how are you handling deep? Like I mentioned,
the draft. Go hit out draft picks.
That's what the Niners are doing with their 11th picks. They're gonna do the defense. But I guess is that the plan then for the Bengals? I don't have their picks in front of me, but I don't think they have a ton of comp picks, if any. But I guess their grand plan is to hit up defense in the draft.
I mean, I'm looking at their defensive personnel. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson's gone. They need a lot of work.
Seemed like a lot of those players weren't happy with Amarillo being gone too.
Amarillo, he's a scapegoat.
Yeah,
I don't blame him. I don't think he's any. He lost any of his pizzazz as defensive coordinator. If you go back to that Super Bowl run, and year after year in free agency. Look at the players that they've lost. I mean, right after the Super Bowl, both of their safeties were not re-signed. They lost both their safeties right off the gate from that Super Bowl.
Yeah. We do have a super chat here. ATL is asking, in Premier League Dynasty Startup 105, who do I take?
Is this a serious question? Because I need to see the board. Text me. Text me soccer stuff.
It's probably half of a.
And if you're in a soccer, why wouldn't you ask me to join this soccer league if you really have one?
He doesn't really have a soccer league, Anthony. If that guy could lure you off a cliff, man. He doesn't have a fucking soccer league.
Because I'm actually looking for one, a fantasy
He's
soccer
probably
league.
half making a 49ers joke because they bought a soccer team. And he thinks that means that they don't have any more money. That's it.
Cincinnati, by the way, they have their first 6 picks, no 7th.
Now they're penny pitching at us fucking 7-Eleven. So he says he does have a league. All right. So Mike, ATL, he'll text you privately, okay? Jesus Christ. It's an actual show. It doesn't revolve around you and your stupid moronic, trolling. So just whatever. Give it a rest for Christ's sakes.
But yeah, but back to Cincy, how do you not pay these guys? How do you not, keep this trio together long term? It's hard to see. If you go down wide receiver grouping to wide receiver grouping, you can make the case that the best in the NFL is Higgins and Chase. Maybe you want to have a conversation with Jefferson and Addison. Maybe they're 1A and 1B.
I mean, Higgins' health always worries me, but no, I would put them above them. We'd have to really think about. What would you say? What you talking about? Best receiving core in the NFL?
Yeah.
We're talking about just fantasy in general? Because, I mean, I know we haven't seen him there yet, but Puka and Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I guess.
I will listen. Devontae's old, but we saw what he did last year.
Yeah, I think they're in the conversation, but I don't think I'm putting them above the Jefferson, Addison, and Chase and Higgins.
Yeah. All right.
And they're saying that, by the way, the Chase deal could be upwards of $40 million a year, over $40 million a year. This is where we are with wide receiver money.
True.
That's insane.
All right.
And then Higgins as much as $30 million a year. So your wide receiver room, your two top receivers could be making just above $70 million a year. You got to figure what Burrow's going to make per season. So that those three players are going to be eating up probably over half of your cap. Well over half your cap.
True story. Let's do this for fun. Because we do talk fantasy football here, obviously, clearly. Let's help me make my pick. I think I know who I want, but I'd like to hear what you think. Let's do this. And if Pete's still watching, he could stop bitching, because that means I'm going to make a pick soon. So far, we are in a dynasty startup. We're drafting rookies later. I right now have Justin Jefferson, Bo Nix, and Breece Hall in a Superflex league. I could wait on quarterback. If I tell you the top three quarterbacks available, Anthony, it's Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. Top three running backs available: Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey. Top three wide receivers: Rashee Rice, T. Higgins, Rome Odunze. I think I know where I'm going right now, but where would you lean?
So wait, go over the options. I'm pulling up the board now.
The options I have, if I wanted to go quarterback, and I'm just giving top three, so I'm not reading off 10 million names. If I go top three of as far as how Sleeper ranks them: Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. Running backs: Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey. Wide receivers: Rashee Rice, T. Higgins, Rome Odunze. I'm not drafting a tight end, though, even though it's tight end premium, but it is Laporta, Hawkinson, Kittle.
And you have a quarterback already, so you don't.
I have a quarterback. I have
for a second one.
I have Justin Jefferson, Bo Nix, and Breece Hall.
I'm probably looking at Kyron or Rice, and then one of the quarterbacks. And if it would be Kyron 1, Rice 2, and then I would either go Dak or Lawrence next.
Kyron was where I was leaning.
Yeah.
So,
what it's worth, I almost went Kyron when it was my turn to pick.
Yeah.
And I think I went Garrett, Wilson, and Mayfield, and Kyron's still on the board, so good value.
Rabbit Dad says, wait on QB. I like Odunze. I like Odunze too, but not. I think I'd rather have Kyron, but it's not a knock on Odunze to say that. So, all right, should I take him right now, or should I wait 5 more minutes to be a prick to Pete?
You can wait.
All right, I can wait. All right, I mean, we got to talk about something else, right? We could find something else to talk about. Let me see what else. What we got here? Addison could be a wide receiver 1 for a bunch of teams. Higgins excels as a wide receiver 2. Not sure he could be a wide receiver 1. That's from FF Rabbit Dad. Any thoughts there, Anthony?
Why Addison and not Higgins? Because I kind of think the opposite, where I think Higgins could be a number 1 wide receiver and Addison is probably a wide receiver too. So I kind of feel opposite. But like in all reality, we've seen both Addison and Higgins have to step into a wide receiver 1 role when Chase and Jefferson have been hurt at times, and both have played well. I think they're kind of interchangeable.
I think
that's why I'm saying too. Like these 2 wide receiver rooms, 1A, 1B. I think they're very much similar.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I don't think it's a huge difference. He also did say, FF Rabbit Dad said, O-line for Chicago should give Caleb Williams more time in the pocket. The only pushback I have to that, and then Anthony, you can feel free to comment, sacked 68 times last year, more than any other quarterback in the top 10 in average time to throw. So he did have time to throw. Well, it wasn't the top 10 in average time to throw. Does that game develop more? Does Ben Johnson help? He's already 1 year into the NFL. But and again, it's great that they did all this work on the offensive line. Need to be done. The Bears win the offseason like none other. But yeah, there is still more work for Caleb to do. But Anthony, as you someone in this said Dynasty League, you did draft one Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Do you have anything to say on this?
Yeah, I drafted Caleb Williams. And this was I was kind of getting high on him with the Ben Johnson acquisition,
Sure.
and this was before all of these O-line acquisitions. I'm kind of going all in on Caleb Williams. He was, quote unquote, the next generational prospect. I know people like to use that term a lot, but he's supposed to be the next in line. And unlike,
you know what else I like to use a lot? You know what else I like to use a lot?
What's that?
Elite.
All right. You're trying to bait me into a Josh Allen conversation, but I'm not going there because I want to talk about Caleb Williams.
No, you're on my side in that, so we're fine.
I am.
Yeah, so we're fine.
But I know Jacksonville. They tried to bolster everything around Trevor Lawrence. They never got the offensive line right. They never spent this much on the offensive line.
No.
And Press Taylor wasn't exactly the best OC play caller. Meanwhile, in Chicago, they realized, hey, you brought up the 68 sacks. Well, they went out and heavily addressed the offensive line. They went out and got the best offensive mind, we believe the best offensive line or mind available in Ben Johnson. They already have some nice weapons here. So I'm very bullish on what the Bears are trying to do with Caleb Williams and putting support around him. Why not buy in? Because where I got him in this super flex draft,
yes.
Where did I get Caleb?
I got him with the third pick of the second round. Sorry.
Yeah. If he hits, maybe he becomes a first round pick in next year's Dynasty Superflex drafts. Maybe he's a top 5 pick, top 6 pick if he hits. And who's to say when you have a Dunze and DJ Moore and this play call and this offensive line, who's to say this can't hit?
Right.
Is it a risk? It's a risk. But
of course it's a risk.
When in these drafts, mind you, quarterbacks off the board first: Allen, Daniels, Burrow, Lamar, Hurts, Mahomes. I mean, I could have had Mahomes. I took Neighbors instead, but still, and then Justin Herbert, Bo Nix. I'd rather roll the dice on Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I don't blame you. You got Zach Linton in here saying, "Yo, what up, Zach? How you doing, buddy?
Zach?
How you doing?" But yeah, all right. So we'll see where this draft goes. But now Pete's gone, so I picked. So now he doesn't have to yell at me anymore.
And by the way, for as bad as it was for Caleb last year, he was still the QB 16, points per game QB 21, but overall the quarterback 16, which wasn't bad all things considered, because that team, that offense was a mess for at least the first 10 games.
Yes.
And who's the OC? That was a mistake. The guy from Seattle, Ben Waldron, or Shane Waldron.
Shane. Yeah.
So I'm very bullish on what Caleb Williams can potentially do this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see this. Joe Carlton said, I see a lot of play calling catering to quick passes. Both DJ Moore and Kmet are very good yard after catch guys. These are, that's not incorrect. Yeah, I could help them. That's it. It's all a matter of what it's all going to be about. Ben Johnson constructing an offense and coaching up Caleb Williams. That's going to be the biggest thing. Let me see this. If a Rabbit Dad said, with Geno and Carroll coming to Las Vegas, should we worry about Brock Bowers? Geno and Carroll have never been tight end forward. Bowers is great, but could it limit his upside? And
I'm not.
I bust Anthony's balls all the time about Anthony. What was that call you had last offseason?
And the call was a little. I mean, I full faded Brock Bowers and Devontae Adams because of that quarterback room.
And anyway, Anthony said Dallas Goedert would be better than Brock Bowers. That was just me having.
No, that was the other part of the tape too.
Yeah. But anyway, no, that was just me having fun with Anthony. But no, Anthony, I agree with you. I think, and I'm sure Anthony will echo this, but what we saw out of Brock Bowers makes him an undeniable weapon. It's not like he's a tight end who's good and you don't give him as many targets. Like he's a weapon. He's a force. It's like a Trey McBride out there in Arizona. Like this guy's a weapon.
And for what it's worth, Seattle under Tom or Pete Carroll had Jimmy Graham, who had a couple of nice seasons, by the way.
He did. Life after New Orleans, yeah, absolutely.
But look at this roster: Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers, Ramel Kate, and of course they're probably going to upgrade the receiver at some point. Running back wise, Mostert, McCormick, Zamir White. This is Brock Bowers' offense.
Yeah.
And if Pete Carroll wants to win football games, he's going to figure that out. They also have Chip Kelly and the pace of play that they're going to run under Chip Kelly. Brock Bowers should have every opportunity to be a locked and loaded first-round pick in fantasy football.
Yeah. Brock Bowers is already headed into the offseason, obviously.
Did I say Purdy or Bowers?
Let's pretend you said Bowers. I'm going to kill my dog soon, but yeah. No, I love Bowers this year. As of right now, he is my number one ranked tight end. And as rankings will clearly obviously change between today in March and
change for me.
I'm saying he's gonna stay there. My rankings will change otherwise, but Albert's saying, "What's up, fellas? What's up?" So there you go. So there's that. What the hell? I wanted to bring something up to you.
Aaron Rodgers, I wanted to talk about.
That's what we were going to talk about. Yes, there we go. All right. Should I do my soapbox thing yet, or do you want to talk about what you want to talk about with Aaron? You talk about what you want to talk about. Then I'll jump on my soapbox.
Well, is it about Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I mean, it's just where is Aaron Rodgers going to sign?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's realistic 3 teams: New York, Pittsburgh, and Minnesota.
I think those are the only teams. That's why they're realistic.
I think the underdog team is Tennessee, because before he signed with the Jets, there were reports that he was going to go to Tennessee.
I think Tennessee is all hot and bothered by Cam Ward, though. But
Aaron Rodgers clearly is still in this to try to go chase a championship. So that rules out the New York Giants. And that would leave Pittsburgh and Minnesota. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, you got offensive weapons in Pittsburgh and in Minnesota.
Sure.
I think Pittsburgh's defense took a step back down the stretch last year. Obviously, TJ Watt was a little bit banged up. The other pass rushers, I forget their names, the other white edge rushers, they were a little bit banged up. And then you have the Brian Flores defense, which is looking really good, especially after the free agency acquisitions they brought in. What's the deal breaker for me and Aaron Rodgers? Kevin O'Connell versus Arthur Smith. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, the deal breaker, if I want to go put up big numbers and possibly chase a championship, and in the NFC, I don't have to face Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or Joe Burrow. In the AFC North, you got to get Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Myles Garrett. Oh, no, you wouldn't be playing, but you got to face off against Burrow. You got to face off against Lamar and the Ravens. No, I want to go to the NFC, where the path is a little bit outside of Philly. The path's a little bit clearer to a Super Bowl in the NFC.
The path is much clearer in the NFC. The Eagles are what they are.
Try to be nice.
No, it's not. The path is much clearer in the NFC. Fuck being nice. Let's be honest. Let's be real. But that's been the case for the last couple of years. Even when the Niners were, didn't have the, crap year they had last year, you still would have said the same thing. The AFC is a tougher conference.
Yeah,
it just is.
And
the NFC is getting better.
And it's nice. I love Pickens. DK Metcalf is what he is.
Mm-hmm.
I much rather have Hawkinson, Jefferson, and Addison over Freiermuth, Pickens, and Metcalf. And again, the deal breaker, Kevin O'Connell. I don't think it's crazy to say defensively, Minnesota can be just as good as Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we got somebody in here saying index of suspicion is saying that the AFC is sus. Which, Anthony, I don't know, because you're older. I'm older.
Suspect.
That means suspect? Yeah, that means suspect. He said, let's not kid ourselves.
I mean, listen.
But, yeah.
Minnesota brought in Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, Isaiah Rodgers. And
Okay.
they already had a good defense last year.
He's saying Cincinnati's fake. Okay. Yeah. Houston's fake. Buffalo's fake. Baltimore let down every year. Okay. Okay. How do I tackle this? So, all right. Listen, is Baltimore a letdown?
I mean,
sure.
31 teams are a letdown every year. There's only one Super Bowl champion.
Do the Buffalo Bills have a hard time getting over that Patrick Mahomes hump? Yes, they do. But to say that they're all of a sudden not good, you had to beat Mahomes. That's it. None of these guys have proven that they can do it. No, I get it, and I'm with
Josh Allen.
Right. I'm with you on that. On that part, I'm with you. But where you and I differ there, index of suspicion, is when you say that all of a sudden the whole conference is suspect. That's when I say, all right, easy.
It's a tough conference. It's a really tough
conference. It is a tough conference, but it doesn't mean the other teams are suspect. It means that last comment he made was the best one. And yes, I am telling you that you're wrong, at least in terms of calling the other team suspect. But you are right in terms of one of them's got to beat Mahomes.
I will say Houston is certainly sus.
Houston's got something to prove. Yeah, Houston's in that sus market. They got to get out of that. Yeah, but Buffalo's not, in my opinion. Buffalo just has to get done against Pat Mahomes. That's it. My daughter Emma just came in and she just said boo. So that's it. So that's all she had to contribute. She said boo. Anthony, you have anything?
No.
Boo? No? All right, go. All right. My whole soapbox thing here for the whole Aaron Rodgers bit, because you were talking about Aaron Rodgers. Can we stop complaining about how long it's taking him to make a decision? He's the same guy just like everybody else. Let's face facts. You all just don't like him, so you all want to complain about him. So he didn't sign a contract within 10 minutes. Oh, we hate him. Oh, he's so selfish. Oh, God, how could he do this? Oh, he's such a diva. He's taking his time. The guy's deciding whether he wants to retire or wants to play, and he's looking at his options. And it was reported that the Vikings came in late and all of a sudden started offering more money. What do you want him to do? You want him to just say to the Vikings, like, hey, listen, I would love to hear more offers. I'd love to negotiate, but some guy with 1,000 followers on Twitter, he's mad at me that I haven't signed yet, so I got to pick somebody so I can make them happy. Like, just shut up. Shut up. The hatred for Aaron Rodgers is just like, you guys are like a bunch of kids having a temper tantrum. The guy's going to pick what team he wants to play for. And then people say, oh, he's making the teams wait. Like, as if you give a shit in any other year. Like, now it's a problem.
What about all the holdouts? What about all the holdouts that go out of training camp and preseason and week before they sign the contract?
That's it. But it's Aaron Rodgers, so now it's a problem. It's like, just shut up, will you? Jesus.
Aaron Rodgers is the LeBron James of the NFL.
And listen, I get it. I get that Aaron Rodgers is not winning any popularity contests. I get that he's an acquired taste. I get that a lot of people are rubbed the wrong way. I get it. But just like this whole thing, oh, he should have made a decision. He's so selfish. Oh, I'm sorry. He's a human being deciding what he wants to do with his life. How dare he?
These are the same people that hate Patrick Mahomes for winning too much. Right. They hate Travis Kelce because of Taylor Swift.
Right.
Who am I missing here? They hated Tom Brady for winning too much.
How dare he negotiate with teams to get paid? How dare he? He's mean. And by the way,
and guess what? If Josh Allen, everybody loves Josh Allen. If he wins 2 or 3 Super Bowls, they're going to hate Josh Allen too.
Oh, they'll hate him. Yep. The only thing people love more than a success story is a complete teardown. So, yeah. Just Aaron Rodgers is going to pick a team. Calm down. He's not holding up the whole league. It's not like there's 16 teams vying for him. There's 3. Okay, calm down.
No, the only thing he's holding up is Russell Wilson.
Right.
And maybe Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that's it.
Or maybe Aaron's waiting for Russ to make a decision.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And FF Rabbit Dad said, I get all that. I just don't want to watch quarterback in my favorite team. Okay.
He didn't look washed at the end of last year.
And this is the one thing I'll say. And FF Rabbit Dad did not make this
Right.
comment. Someone else did.
I think Coward brings it up, or was it Coward? That Aaron Rodgers down the stretch, his numbers match Josh Allen's.
Yeah. You look at his numbers last year. Like
Not
somebody
not running.
No, obviously, clearly not. Clearly not. Aaron Rodgers never came close to running like Josh Allen does. Never, ever, ever. But no. Somebody commented on my X profile. Aaron Rodgers has sucked for the last 5 years. You know what he did in the last 5 years? He threw over 130 touchdowns and won 2 MVPs and tore his Achilles one of the years. So he hasn't sucked the last 5 years. It's just what the media wants to tell you. Oh, he's terrible. He's so washed. He played pretty well last year, and by the way, bouncing off of the Achilles injury. How did Kirk Cousins do last year?
Well,
where was Kirk Cousins? How do you compare the Kirk Cousins stretch where he didn't throw barely any touchdowns and a ton of interceptions, and compare that to what Aaron Rodgers did? Then tell me Aaron Rodgers was completely washed. It's just a popular thing for kids to say. Just like everybody wants to say everybody's elite, everybody wants to say everybody's washed. That's it. There's only 2 schools of thought. You're either elite or you're washed. That's it. It's all the extremes.
Or generational.
There's no in between. Or generational. Oh, God, just generational. There's no in between. There's no middle ground. Fucking get off my goddamn lawn. Aaron Rodgers is going to make a decision when he wants to, okay? I say he's going to pick Pittsburgh. Anthony, you say the Vikings. Right?
Yes.
You're saying the Vikings, which I don't hate, but I'm going with Pittsburgh. And we'll just leave it at that. I think that there's something there with him wanting to play with Mike Tomlin, and Index of Suspicion did say FF Realist Gran Torino. Right. Get off my goddamn lawn. Yeah, 1,000%, man. Enough with this crap. Yeah. So let me go. Shimmy Shimmy Bomb Bomb. There you go. It's from my daughter. So, Emma, eventually I'm going to stop showing these because they're not really relevant, but thank you. Appreciate you. What are you looking at, Anthony? What do you got?
I'm just looking at the splits of Aaron Rodgers throwing the football and Josh Allen throwing the football in their last 6 games.
Let's get this.
So Aaron,
Joe, we'll talk about that next, Joe.
In his last 6 games, it looks like. Where are these splits at?
Oh, I thought you had them. I teed you up. No,
I do. Okay, here we go. So Aaron, his last 6, 1455, 11 touchdowns, 4 picks. Josh Allen in his last 6, 1450, 11 and 2.
Yeah. Not bad.
7.1 versus 7.9 yards per attempt favoring Allen, but still they're both over 7.
Right. Not bad.
I don't think he's washed.
Anyway,
he's not healthy.
Yeah. Anthony, just real quick, and then we'll get back into this. ATL is saying that soccer league apparently is very real, so shoot him a text.
Oh, all right.
So there you go. Anyway, Rabbit Dad goes on to say, this is as per my comments about his last 5 years. He said, in his last year in Green Bay, that being Aaron Rodgers, his last year was underwhelming in Green Bay, underwhelming for his standards. For other quarterbacks, to be a good year. I'm adding that to help you there. The Achilles injury was notable. Yes, of course it was, as it was for Cousins. Either way, we're not getting MVP Rodgers again. And to that point, FF Rabbit Dad, I brought that up to say no one is getting MVP Rodgers ever again.
I think he has a lot better chance of being MVP Rodgers with Minnesota O'Connell in that offense that he did with the New York Jets and Matt Hackett.
All right, you could say that. That's fine. My whole bit was this. Like, no, we're not getting MVP Rodgers again. Nobody is. But I will just say not MVP Rodgers might be better than other options that other teams could have. At least amongst these 3 teams that we are discussing. Which I would be remiss if I didn't get to. Joe Carlton brought it up, and we can't have much of a conversation about this, and we're bringing up the Vikings as much as we are, and not talking about JJ McCarthy, if and I guess this will kind of round out the show, but if we're talking about the Vikings, like you're convinced or you believe that the Vikings are going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, what does that say for JJ McCarthy? Do the Vikings know more than we do about JJ McCarthy? Or is it already buyer's remorse? I would think obviously it must be that they know more than we do about his knee. Because here's my whole point about him going to Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers wants to go to a team where he's going to start. So if the Vikings were ready to start JJ McCarthy and they verbalize that to Aaron Rodgers, why would Aaron Rodgers want to go there? That's my pushback on Aaron Rodgers to Minnesota. So with that being said, Anthony, do you think that Aaron Rodgers goes to Minnesota because maybe JJ McCarthy's not 100% and the Vikings know that? Or what's the deal?
I think if I'm the Vikings, you don't have a rush to start JJ McCarthy, right? He's coming off the knee. He didn't have a ton of throwing experience in college anyway. You have him on a rookie deal for the next 3 years, 4 years if you want it. You just were knocking on the door of a potential Super Bowl run if it wasn't for a Sam Darnold and to an extent, Kevin O'Connell play calling collapse in the last 2 games. If you're looking at your team and, we just signed Allen and Hargrave, and we already had a good defense to begin with Flores. We have all these dudes, and Hawkinson's healthy. We're bringing back Aaron Jones. Who has a better chance to bring you to a Super Bowl? JJ McCarthy coming off of an ACL or Aaron Rodgers now a year removed from the Achilles, who, oh, by the way, put up similar numbers to Josh Allen in their last 6 games head-to-head.
You understand?
I think the answer...
That's going to make Steve lose his mind when you bring that up on a show.
I think the answer is Aaron Rodgers. But I'll bring it up because it's true.
Yeah, you can do that. There's nothing
It's
against
true.
Something that's true.
I'm not making these numbers up.
Nope, those are numbers. They're there. Some people still want to say that that's not true, though, just because they don't want to hear it. Index of, and that's not to say Steve, that's me talking about Twitter in general. Index of suspicion did say, remember when, what's that?
Uncle Colin brought that up. See, you're agreeing with Colin and me. I'm an extension of Mr. Coward.
If there was ever a time for me to take a drink, it's hearing that I agree with Colin Coward. Anyway, Index of Suspicion did say, remember when QBs used to sit and learn? Yeah, me and Anthony do.
Yeah.
Because we're old enough to remember. Yeah, we remember those days. Those were good times. And Joe said, I like Anthony's argument from Minnesota. Thank you, Joe. I'll say that on behalf of Anthony. Anthony's too proud to say thank you, apparently.
No, thank you.
Oh, there you go.
I was thinking the quarterback sitting there worked from Mahomes.
The answer is Rodgers.
Smith.
FF Rabbit said the answer is Rodgers. I just threw up in my mouth. There you go. Well, you might be throwing up a bit in your mouth, dude. Depending on where he winds up, you might wind up with your boys. If folks don't know who have been listening and watching, FF Rabbit Dad's a great guy on X. Helps us out a lot, and yeah, he's a Vikings fan, so that's why he's so passionate about this.
And if it don't work out for Aaron Rodgers in Minnesota, you still have JJ McCarthy,
right? Sure. Again, my whole bit is this: you make a great point. It's hard to argue against your point. I just think that I don't know. I just think Rodgers wants to go to a team where he knows he's going to start. Like he knows JJ McCarthy's there. And he knows that if JJ McCarthy's ready to go, like there's gonna be that thing.
If Rodgers comes out, JJ McCarthy, he should retire.
I wholeheartedly agree. The point is this: let's say Aaron Rodgers goes to Minnesota, right? And he's a starter, and JJ McCarthy's ready but still learning, and they're all kind of vague, and he's on the sideline. Let's just say, because some quarterbacks start slow, Joe Burrow, whom we all love, he has started slow the last few years. Let's say Aaron Rodgers has that slow start, but could still be good the rest of the way. If he's got a slow start in the first 2 or 3 weeks, and JJ McCarthy
They're
is
not
he can
pulling Aaron
play,
Rodgers after 2 or
that's
3
no,
weeks.
that's not. I'm not saying the Vikings are going to do that. I'm saying Aaron Rodgers is looking at it from that perspective. Says if I go in there and if I start slow, they're going to be calling for JJ McCarthy. I don't want to deal with that shit. I want to just go somewhere. Let me start. Let me wash this jet stink off of me. And then let me go right off into the sunset and do all the ayahuasca I want, wherever the hell I want. Go off the grid. No one can find me for 5 years.
So the answer is starting slow in Minnesota or going to Pittsburgh and possibly never getting going because of Arthur Smith.
Yep. I'm not saying it's logical. I'm just saying that's what I'm thinking. That's it. No, it's not. Yeah. No, you got me dead to rights on the whole Arthur Smith thing. You know how I feel about Arthur Smith.
And I like Arthur Smith. I think
Arthur Smith working with Aaron Rodgers is a recipe for fucking disaster, which social media will love.
I think, I think Cousins, Pittsburgh, Rodgers, Minnesota.
I think Aaron Rodgers would be more willing to bend the knee to Brian Daboll a bit, but to Arthur Smith, this stiff, I'm not going to help this guy out. This clown. This clown shoot. I get it. It just, there's a better path for him to start a full season. Again, it's got its flaws. I'm not going to say, the Steelers are far and away the best job to take. That's it. Well, I'll just say this. Joe Carlton did say Pete just came on to tell Hoff to hurry up and pick. And then what a piece of dog poop. Yeah, you want to know why he's a big piece of dog poop? Because the other guy, our very own Matt on the show, is up after me, hasn't picked yet in about a half hour, and Pete has said nothing to him. So clearly Pete's got a vendetta against me. We got to get him on the show to talk about that. But Anthony, do you have anything else you want to talk about in this show? I mean, we managed to squeeze an hour out of this.
No, I think we can wrap it up.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. All right, just like they tell you in the streets when you're going down the. Never mind, I won't go there. Tell the kids when they're older. All right, Anthony, anything to say? What's that?
No, I said, I get it. I get the whole wrap it up thing.
You got it. You got it. Very good. Actually, did you order a hotel room yet for the wedding?
No, but I got to do that.
Okay, thank you. All right.
You remind me.
That's what just happened. That's a real thing. We will be podcasting a bit from Pete's wedding, or we'll just throw videos up on X like morons.
There he is.
And speaking of morons, Anthony decides to throw a picture of the Brooklyn Brawler right in between the two of us.
Steve Lombardi.
I understand it's Steve Lombardi. It's very good. I understand.
Should I put up his other gimmicks?
You just all right. Go ahead.
No, I don't have them ready. It'll just
find them. Find them. Go ahead.
No, but let's wrap it up because I got to eat. I got to eat soon.
Well, you're the one who suggested it. All right.
Doink, Brooklyn Brawler. He was what, right. the baseball, the hockey guy too?
Okay. So this has been a wonderful show. As Anthony says, he doesn't want to look these things up, but he's looking them up. I'll tell you guys that throughout the draft season and NFL free agency, you can go to fffaceoff.com. We truly have a lot of great.
I forgot he was kimchi.
Can I fucking promote our product, or can we talk about kimchi in a minute?
All right.
You can go to fffaceoff.com. Truly, Zach Petrov has been putting out a ton of rookie profiles. If you're trying to get into the NFL draft, maybe you're not as much into college and you want to start to learn about these players, fffaceoff.com. We've got a slew of them. You can read up on them. We're putting out a ton of videos. The Dynasty guys, they're putting out a lot of stuff, the FF Mediators. So definitely check all of that out. Again, fffaceoff.com. YouTube, go to fffaceoff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Be notified every single time that we go live. But yeah, Anthony, did you have anything else to say about the Brooklyn Brawler before we sign off?
No, I'm good to go.
Is that because I yelled at you, or do you actually have things?
No, I don't. I'm good.
He's got stuff. All right. So until next time, stay thirsty, be kind to one another. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Cheers.